From Studio 57 in New York, get ready for CBS Mornings Plus.
It's Wednesday, and here's what we're talking about.
The Palestinians should have all the powers in a peaceful day to govern themselves, but they can't have the powers to threaten our survival.
A CBS News exclusive. Tony sits down with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We'll tell you what he said.
Then the government shutdown drags on as efforts to reopen it remain at a standstill. We'll bring you the latest and tell you what could happen next.
Donnie Wahlberg is back as Danny Reagan in the Blue Bloods spinoff Boston Blue. He'll join us with co-star Sonequa Martin Green to give us a sneak peek. Ready to run it back, Brooklyn?
Try and stop me, Beantown.
How can they cut any more costs? I mean, this place is already falling apart.
If they take away the free coffee, I'm out of here. I'm lying. I'm not going anywhere.
I know.
Plus, the hilarious Tim Meadows stops by to tell us about his brand new comedy series, DMV.
You have no idea how hard it is to be a single woman in her 30s, okay?
Is it any harder than being a black man in his 60s?
I don't know. Is it? Nope. I'm so sorry.
A little awkward there, a little awkward, but no awkwardness here.
Never. Welcome, everybody, to CBS Mornings Plus on this Tuesday. Vlad is back. So glad about that. We have so much to cover today. Like every day lately, we are going to begin with that fragile ceasefire in Gaza that is holding for now in spite of new challenges. Israel says this morning that one of the 4 bodies that Hamas handed over yesterday is not a hostage. Hamas has sent gunmen into the streets of Gaza, and there are images showing executions of people the group calls collaborators and outlaws. President Trump gave Hamas a stark warning yesterday. In his words, he said, quote, "If they don't disarm, we will disarm them," unquote. We will have more on that in just a minute. But first, we will go to Tony in Tel Aviv, where he got an exclusive interview with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Tony, good morning.
Good morning, guys. In a blunt moment, I asked the Prime Minister point blank what it would take for him to feel like Israel's conflicts are over. And he said in response, in part, quote, "The way to purchase peace is through strength." And it was military strength, at least as much as diplomacy, that he believes allowed Israel to win back the hostages that we met face to face just last night.
Everybody in Israel since the last time I was here seems so relieved. Do you feel relieved?
I feel both relieved and very moved.
We watched late Tuesday as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife Sarah moved room to room, visiting 5 returned hostages and their families on their first full day back together. Each described an ordeal of long hours underground, limited sunlight, and scarce food. Avi Natan Or, for example, the partner of another hostage, Noah Argamani, lost at least 60 pounds in Hamas captivity.
I'm learning that they didn't lose hope, that they believe that one way or the other will get them out.
Now it's a question of whether this moment of hope for Israel and the region can last.
Mr. Trump says the war is over, but clearly the war is not over. The IDF is deployed to sections of Gaza still, and Hamas is still on the streets of Gaza. How can you say the war is over?
Well, we agreed to give peace a chance. The conditions in his 20-point plan are very clear. It's not only that we get the hostages out without getting our military out, but that we would subsequently have both demilitarization and disarmament. They're not the same thing. First, Hamas has to give up its arms. And second, you want to make sure that there are no weapons factories inside Gaza. There's no smuggling of weapons into Gaza. We also agreed, okay, let's get the first part done. And now let's give a chance to do the second part peacefully, which is my hope.
You just mentioned how closely you're working with Donald Trump on this. He took some digs at you, as he often does with people, during his speech at the Knesset.
He's not the easiest guy to deal with, but that's what makes him great.
Why does he say you're so hard to work with?
Well, I hope he says that because I'm very tough on the matters that pertain to my country's future. It is always the responsibility of the leader of the Jewish state to make sure that the Jewish state is never imperiled with its very existence. That's why I did the things I did.
There was a poll that came out recently in America finding that just 14% of Americans under 30 say their sympathies lie with Israel and with the Israeli people. You are losing young people across the political spectrum in America and across the world. Is there a fix for that?
I think so. I think the first fix is to finish the war as speedily as possible, something that I have sought to do against all these contrarian propaganda. Of course I want to end the war. Who wants it to continue? I've been to war myself. I've been in battles. My brother died leading the historic rescue at Entebbe for the release of hostages.
I'm aware.
You have to be crazy to want wars to prolong. So first
ending
you
the
want to
war.
end them. You want to end the war speedily, because in the TikTok age and in the television age, letting wars go on too long is going to cost you precisely what it costs you. There's a real battle on the social media. It's a big battle. Not simple.
It is.
So it's a battle for truth, really.
It's also a battle of messaging, of ideas. And there's a big idea that the world talks about and that America talks about, the two-state solution, something that you used to talk about, but not anymore. How come?
When I talked about it, it wasn't the proposition that people give. They assume, okay, there are two sovereign states, and a sovereign state has, for example, military power, it can make covenants. The Palestinians should have all the powers in a peaceful day to govern themselves. But they can't have the powers to threaten our survival. That sovereign power of security must remain with Israel. Because otherwise, the jihadists take over. Iran takes over immediately. And that's what happened every time we vacated territory. The most extreme fanatics came in. And people said to me, but that's not a perfect state. And I said, you're right. But it's perfectly aligned with reality.
So is that a reality you can imagine existing?
Well, it's a reality that if you had Palestinian governance that stopped teaching their kids to destroy the state of Israel, obviously if you have that and they educate them for peace, then I think you can have a different reality. But even under that reality, this could take generations. Israel has to be in control of the military power to prevent our destruction.
And I'll add just one more thing. Just before that interview started rolling, I mentioned to the Prime Minister that his obituary, after the success of the last few days, would look a lot different today than it would have looked 2 years ago. And he said in a response, in part, quote, "It's not my obituary that I'm concerned about, it's my country's," underscoring once again, I think, that for many of Israel's issues, the Prime Minister sees them as existential threats. That's an insight into his view of the world as we think about what's next for Israel and the region. Vlad, Adriana.
Tony, thank you so much for that interview. We will have a little bit more of Tony's exclusive interview with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that you will not see anywhere else, so stick around for that.
All right, this morning, more food and medical aid is being sent into Gaza, but as we mentioned, there is a problem with the return of the last 28 Israeli hostages who died in captivity. Deborah Pata is in East Jerusalem with more on that part of the story. Deborah, good morning.
Hamas is slowly releasing the bodies of hostages still in Gaza, a total of 7 so far, which has angered families waiting for their loved ones. The Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics says more than 11,000 people are still missing in the territory. We spoke to hostage negotiator Gershom Baskin, who told us sadly some bodies may never be recovered. Somewhere in this landscape of ruin and loss are the bodies of the remaining hostages.
Many of the Hamas commanders who were responsible for burying these Israeli hostages are no longer alive. They were killed by the Israelis. There are thousands of Gazans who are unaccounted for, who are believed to be buried underneath the rubble of buildings that Israel bombed.
First responders are now searching for the dead. But it is not easy when over 90% of the buildings have been damaged or destroyed, and there are only the most rudimentary tools available. As Gaza starts to think of rebuilding, the U.S. peace deal calls for an interim governing body headed by President Trump to run the territory that ultimately hands control over to Palestinian rule. But that body has yet to be established, and Hamas has stepped back into the vacuum, allegedly targeting Palestinians accused of collaborating with Israel. There are videos of Hamas executing Palestinians believed to be armed gangs. What's going on there?
Hamas is killing them because they can. Israel has empowered, with weapons and money, gangs of Palestinians who were involved in mostly illegal activities in the past, and they've empowered them as an alternative to Hamas.
President Trump had this to say.
You know, they did take out a couple of gangs that were very bad, very, very bad gangs. And that didn't bother me much, to be honest with you.
The Palestinian Authority has condemned the Hamas executions as extrajudicial killings. President Trump also said yesterday that Hamas must disarm and warned the group, and I quote, "We will disarm them and it will happen quickly and perhaps violently." Adriana, Vlad?
Deborah, thank you so much. Here in the U.S., it is day 15 of the government shutdown, if you were keeping track, and so many of us are. Thousands of workers have only received partial paychecks, and soon there will be no checks at all. The Senate failed again last night to pass a spending bill to reopen the government. Our Caitlin Huey-Burns is tracking efforts to end the impasse and the response from the White House.
The motion is not agreed to.
With Congress at a standstill, President Trump is threatening more targeted cuts.
We're closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we were opposed to. So we're being, and they're never going to come back.
His comments came during a meeting with Argentinian President Javier Milei, whose country has been offered a $20 billion bailout by Trump. Critics slammed the timing.
The overwhelming majority of Americans say we need help with our health care. And they're busy spending $20 billion because Trump seems to really like the leader of Argentina.
In the past week, many federal workers received their final paychecks. Air traffic controllers were among those who received a portion of what they are owed. They won't be paid again until the shutdown ends.
Thank you very much.
Many fanned out at airports across the country, urging lawmakers to open the government.
Most controllers around the country are already working 6-day work weeks, 10-hour days. They shouldn't have the extra burden of worrying about when they're going to get paid.
Members of the military will get their paychecks due today after the administration rearranged Pentagon funds at the president's direction.
You got it?
But how long those funds will last is a concern for social worker and military spouse Crystal Bettenhausen-Babulka, whose husband has been serving in the Navy for the past 31 years.
For me, it's more so looking at the mental health side of everything. How much do we need to push before we have military families that just can't take anymore?
Do you feel like this is putting your life on hold?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. It's a holding pattern.
Now, lawmakers will continue to get paid as is required by law, but the police officers who protect this Capitol have missed their first full paychecks, and the union that represents them is urging lawmakers to start talking and negotiate. Vlad, Adriana?
We're all doing that. Caitlin, thank you very much. Turning now to Southern California, where a powerful storm dumped nearly a foot of rain in the Los Angeles area yesterday. Interstate 5 was temporarily shut down as crews in waist-deep water cleared the drainage system. In Encino, the fire department's swiftwater team rescued 2 stranded adults and 2 dogs. Rob Marciano is tracking the storm for us. Rob, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Vlad. Very unusual system for this time of year. A rainfall record was set in Burbank, where they shut down I-5. Over 2 inches of rainfall there. We had winds to over 70 miles an hour. We had a severe thunderstorm watch in L.A., which we haven't seen since 2008, to give you an idea of just how rare it is. All right, this low now is pretty much just southeast of Lake Tahoe, so we're starting to wind these things down. But there will be some snows as we head across parts of the Intermountain West as this thing kind of heads up towards Canada. That's the good news. The bad news is it's going to reset the stage here for the potential of seeing some severe weather across the central U.S. as we head to this weekend. So that will be our first bout of fall severe weather. Adriana?
All right, Rob, thank you so much. President Trump says the U.S. struck another boat off the coast of Venezuela that he says was carrying drugs. Unclassified footage posted by the administration on social media shows what appears to be a stationary vessel being hit by a missile yesterday. President Trump says 6 men on board were killed. This is now the 5th known attack by U.S. forces on alleged narco traffickers in the Caribbean. Critics say the strikes violate U.S. and international law.
The Supreme Court is hearing arguments this morning in a case that could undermine one of the last surviving parts of the Voting Rights Act, one of the country's most important civil rights laws. Jan Crawford is at the Supreme Court. Jan, good morning.
Well, good morning, Vlad. So the court is going to be focusing on part of the law that requires states sometimes to draw up their legislative districts, sometimes zigzagging across the state, to group together voters based on their skin color. This is all to increase minority representation. The court's decision in this case could have sweeping political implications nationwide.
It is really troubling for anyone to pretend that race is not an unbelievably loud issue in our country right now.
Civil rights advocates like Ashley Shelton say now is not the time to gut Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and end the use of race in redistricting.
We cannot pretend that there isn't going to be considerable loss of minority voice and power if we were to do away with Section 2.
Advocates credit Section 2 with increasing minority representation nationwide by requiring states to draw some districts that are majority black, like this congressional map in Louisiana. But critics say black candidates are winning in Louisiana and elsewhere in non-minority districts, and grouping people based on their race only fuels divisions.
I think it's time to give people a chance and to continue to vote for people based on their character and their fitness for office.
Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill says the case shows how states are in an impossible position. 3 years ago, civil rights groups, including Shelton's, sued under the Voting Rights Act to get a second black district and won in court. But after Louisiana drew up the new map, a group of white voters sued, arguing the new minority district was unconstitutional because it considered race.
The Constitution has told us to not sort people by race. The courts have told us we can't sort voters by race. And yet we are being told to go out and sort our voters by race.
Now, the court has restricted the use of race in other areas, including ending affirmative action in college admissions. If it uses that reasoning in this case, that could dramatically rewrite the rules for how states draw up these legislative districts, and that could also potentially affect current redistricting efforts for next year's midterm elections. Adriana?
Jan, thank you so much for those details. President Trump honored assassinated conservative activist Charlie Kirk at the White House yesterday, a day that would have been Kirk's 32nd birthday.
I love this country, and that's why this afternoon it's my privilege to posthumously award Charles James Kirk our nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Thank you.
The co-founder of Turning Point USA was awarded the Medal of Freedom just over a month after he was killed on a college campus in Utah. His widow, Erica, accepted the medal in his honor. Coming up, CBS Premiere Week is here, and we are talking to the stars of some of the most highly anticipated shows. Donnie Wahlberg is here. So is Sonequa Martin Green from Boston Blue. They're going to join us in studio. Plus, the hilarious Tim Meadows from the new comedy DMV. All that and more when CBS Mornings Plus returns. Welcome back to CBS Mornings Plus. There may be a 20-point peace plan for Gaza, but there is an overwhelming number of questions about what the future of Gaza will look like and how peace can endure. President Trump has proposed a so-called Board of Peace to temporarily oversee Gaza, but it's still unclear who would be on the board and what exactly the board would do. By the way, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair was suggested for a leading role, but now that's in doubt. One thing is clear, though. We know President Trump says he will chair the board. So could this concept be a viable path forward for the region? Joining us now to discuss is political scientist Khaled Al-Gindi, a visiting scholar at Georgetown University Center for Contemporary Arab Studies. Khaled, thank you so much for joining us. Talk to us about the little we do know about this board, and could this be a way to move forward, and what needs to be addressed in the short term, the coming weeks, to try to have stability in the region?
Yeah, we don't know a lot about the board. It is at this point just an idea. There are some diagrams in some of the literature trying to explain the structure of this ruling body. But I think what is more important and very often overlooked is whatever its structure, whatever its composition, it is made up entirely of foreigners and headed by the President of the United States. And that's something that, as opposed to Palestinians. So that is the opposite of self-determination. That's not something that is going to go over well with the Palestinian public in Gaza or frankly anywhere. And so, there is a Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, but I think if we're looking at a a governing body that doesn't include Palestinians, and then in which case it doesn't represent Palestinian interests, that's going to be very problematic.
So, Professor, you mentioned the Palestinian Authority. Having spent some time covering the region from the West Bank, it was remarkable to me that during the period of this war, during those 2 years, the Palestinian Authority was able to maintain some semblance of order in the West Bank. Why would they not be a viable alternative to Hamas in governing Gaza? Because it's really hard to understand how you could have a peace board without the Palestinians involved. I understand the criticisms of the Palestinian Authority, the corruption, but would they not be a good, viable choice?
Well, the problem with the Palestinian Authority, in addition to corruption, is that it lacks legitimacy. The majority of Palestinians, and we've seen poll after poll over the last several years, but particularly in the last 2 years, do not want to see President Mahmoud Abbas remain in his position. The overwhelming majority want him to resign. There is widespread dissatisfaction with the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, not only because of corruption and fecklessness, but also because it is now perceived overwhelmingly by Palestinians as Israel's security subcontractor, as opposed to, a body that governs and serves the people, the Palestinian people. So there's a credibility problem, there's a legitimacy problem, and so exporting that with all of those problems to Gaza, which has infinitely more problems, is I think going to be problematic.
Khaled, our colleague Tony Dokoupil is in Tel Aviv, and he interviewed Benjamin Netanyahu and asked him about this two-state solution and a possible path forward. And Netanyahu said this.
The Palestinians should have all the powers in a peaceful day to govern themselves, but they can't have the powers to threaten our survival. That sovereign power of security must remain with Israel, because otherwise the jihadists take over.
Khaled, what does that scenario that the Prime Minister is proposing mean for Palestinian self-determination?
It is the exact antithesis of self-determination for Palestinians. What he's talking about is permanent Israeli occupation, which is highly unequal. Palestinians have no rights. They're subjected to military rule. And that's a system that experts call apartheid. I would just remind people also that Prime Minister Netanyahu heads the most extreme government in Israel's history, and in fact has an arrest warrant issued in his name by the International Criminal Court for war crimes and crimes against humanity. So what he says about Palestinians, I think, reflects the sort of extremist nature of his government. But it is a denial of Palestinian. The problem, the most destabilizing force in this whole equation is Israel's continued occupation and rule over millions of people with no rights. That is the problem. And until that is addressed, until Palestinians are free and can remain and live as free people in their own land, then you're going to have indefinite conflict and turmoil.
Professor Khaled El-Guindi, thank you very, very much for your perspective. We appreciate it on today's By the Way. Thank you. Ahead, the stories that caught our eye, plus Donnie Wahlberg and Sonequa Martin-Green are here to tell us about their highly anticipated new series, Boston Blue. Here they are, spin-off of the hit show Blue Bloods. That and much more when we come back. Welcome back to CBS Mornings Plus. Here are a few stories that caught our eye. We have more of Tony's exclusive interview with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, only on CBS Mornings Plus. Take a look.
What role do you think anti-Semitism plays in the world's reaction to Israel?
Well, unfortunately, a very big one. This has been the story of the Jewish people for thousands of years. I mean, we were maligned, vilified, including in the Middle Ages. We're poisoning the wells, we're drinking the blood of children, horrible things. And people believed it. And those vilifications always preceded massacres and mass murder, always. That hasn't really changed. That is what you hear today, the lies that are told in Israel, against Israel, especially in the social media, the horrible things about starvation policy, deliberate starvation policy, genocide is completely false. But people believe it. And I'll tell you what the difference is today. I mean, we haven't gotten rid of the lies. We haven't gotten rid of the anti-Semitism. But Israel was founded on the belief that if you rebuild the Jewish state and the Jewish army, you may not be able to stop the vilification, but you'll be able to stop the massacre that follows that.
What do you say to Jews around the world who think anti-Semitism has gotten worse because of the war?
They don't know history. It's built in. These cycles of hatred, Jew hatred, are horrible. And what you have to understand is, yes, the war will end, it'll decline, but anti-Semitism, I'm afraid, is the oldest disease, the oldest hatred, and it stays with us. The question is, can we defend ourselves physically against our annihilation? Look what happened 80 years ago. 80 years ago, the Holocaust happened, millions of Jews were killed, and we couldn't do a damn thing.
Now, Israel has repeatedly denied claims, including from the UN, that its government was carrying out a genocide. All right, a Michigan mom is calling her 3-year-old son a superhero after she says he saved her life. His name is Cody Woods, and he jumped into action when his mom, Chantel, suffered a medical emergency. She says he used her phone to FaceTime a neighbor who rushed over to help her. Watch this.
He unlocked my phone with my face and called her and set the phone on the pillow. Said, Kaya, help mommy. I'm very proud of him. Very proud. Because he saved my life. I could have been gone. And I was going to send him to school that day too, but I didn't.
Cody didn't have to go to school that day. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office honored Cody for his heroic efforts by making him a junior deputy. Isn't that so cool?
It's incredible.
But that's wild. Like we always say, we don't. You and I have 2.5-year-olds. We don't let them play with screens. But maybe. What do you guys think? Yeah.
Maybe they need to learn how to FaceTime the neighbor.
And unlock the phone with your face.
Yes, that's brilliant.
That's so cool. All right, CBS Premiere Week is finally here, and our next guests who've been sort of weighing in on this little story because it's so cute are stars of the highly anticipated new show. It's called Boston Blue. We're, of course, talking about Donnie Wahlberg and Sonequa Martin Green. So the new series is a spin-off of the hit drama Blue Bloods. Wahlberg is returning to his role as NYPD Detective Danny Reagan, who finds himself in a new position with the Boston PD. Martin Green stars as his new partner, Detective Lena Silver. Here's a sneak peek.
Oh, your lab connected the two we found in the alley to scratches on Andrea Decker's desk. No identifiable fingerprints, but they did track the logo to a local hardware store.
Lab confirmed. Kerosene and turpentine, like I said. Now, that's a lead on the fire case. Looks like you're nowhere on the murder.
I'm sorry, you call that police work? Detective? You confirm 2 chemicals that any clown could purchase at any superstore in the United States and you throw it in her face like it's evidence?
You want to say that again?
Ooh, yeah. Donnie Wahlberg and Sonequa Martin Green join us now. Good morning. Good to see you guys again.
Good morning.
Oh, my God, that's such a delicious scene.
I know, that little clip was so good.
So good.
Detective.
The sarcasm, the look on your face, the accent, the New York accent that you're bringing back to the role. But to Boston.
They're all confused. But I knew, I learned in 14 years of Blue Bloods from all of the crew members in New York because they would torment me about Boston.
As they should.
All the time.
Boston
now,
boy.
I have to go torment the Bostonian, even though I'm the Bostonian.
I know, I love it.
Very confusing.
So what's it like jumping back into this role in a new setting? You got a new co-star, a new partner. Give me a sense of it.
I love the character, and I love Blue Bloods, for 14 years, and was a little heartbroken when it ended. And then this amazing opportunity came, and it's been more of an amazing opportunity than I thought. It's like, okay, well, I can be Danny again, and great, and yada, yada, but he's in a new world with a new partner who's very formidable and knows her stuff, and it's her world, not his. And it's given me a chance to grow the character in ways that I didn't, even as one of the producers of the show, I didn't anticipate. It's really fun because I have to discover new things about the character. And just when I thought after 14 years I couldn't learn anything more about the character or discover new ways to play him, suddenly I am. It's not his city. He doesn't know every corner and where to turn.
He's a fish out of water.
He is a fish out of water completely. And so and I thought that would be fun, but I didn't know it would be so challenging and enlightening. And it's really been fun in that regard.
That's so cool.
So, Sneak, this is so exciting for you. You, of course, have played in action-packed shows before, Star Trek Discovery, my personal favorite, Walking Dead.
Thank you.
I'm still just like, Walking Dead.
Very kind.
How did you prepare for this role, and what were you most excited about?
You know, there were so many things about it that were exciting to me. The script, it was courageous to me, and I do have experience with franchises, new iterations of franchises. I know what it's like to have to build on what came before and pay respect to it, but also be something new. So that was exciting to be able to do that. And there's a purity to the storytelling with Blue Bloods, I believe, with family, faith, and tradition being at the heart of it. And so I love that the Brandons and the executive producers, including this one, fought so hard to make sure that it was still there at the core of the show. That really spoke to me. My character's named after our showrunner's daughter. He wanted to see his own family on the screen. So that means a lot to me, to be able to bring family, faith, and tradition back to Friday nights. And then Detective Lena Silver, like I've been saying lately, is a cool cat. She's a cool cat, you know, so that's cool too.
That's also
exciting
cool.
too.
So Donnie, and you mentioned this, Saniqua, that Blue Bloods, at the heart of Blue Bloods was the family dinner, which I had the chance to sort of shoot a scene there with you guys for CBS Mornings. And here, what I love about it is it looks very different than just the Reagans sitting on an Irish-American family. It's multicultural. It's there's different religions.
Multi-faith.
Yes, exactly. And I remember talking to David Staff, who runs CBS TV, about this when this was being developed, and he said to me, "Isn't the idea of people of different races and different faiths sitting down and having a dinner like the Blue Bloods family dinner?"
Blue Bloods dinner was the one thing about Blue Bloods dinner is family is universal, and you know. People from all walks of life, all ethnicities, all faiths used to come up to me and say, "I love the dinner scene. It means so much to me and my family. We had dinners like that." And it's universal, right? So this family, while it may be different, it's still family is universal, right? So we're you know, in having family back on TV in this way and faith back on TV and a law enforcement family, there are so many law enforcement families who love Blue Bloods, and that part of television was gone when Blue Bloods left, and now we get to bring it back. And I think that universalness of family, I hope the way it resonated from the Reagan family will resonate now with the Silver family.
And resonate with so many people.
Absolutely.
And your brother on the show is from Blackish.
He
I was like,
is Marcus Critter. Yes.
He's so good.
He's phenomenal.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I can't
everybody's
wait for everybody.
phenomenal.
Everyone is phenomenal. Can't wait for everybody at home to see it. Donnie Wahlberg and Saniqua Martin-Green, thank you so much.
You guys are amazing.
Blue. It premieres this Friday at 10/9 Central here on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
All right, coming up, the one and only Tim Meadows is here to tell us about his new sitcom, DMV, how he's bringing laughs to one of life's most frustrating places. I mean, it's already funny, like, in a terrible way when you go to the DMV. Now they're going to show you what it's like on TV. That's coming up next.
Something we Getting lost in the 80s music.
I mean, that TV music.
I love it.
Can't go wrong.
Welcome on back to CBS Mornings Plus. Nothing is more fun than a day at the DMV, am I right? Said absolutely no one ever. But our next guest is turning the hassle into something hilarious in a new comedy called DMV, which premiered Monday night on CBS. Tim Meadows plays Greg, a former English teacher turned DMV examiner. The show follows him and his co-workers as they navigate the daily grind behind the counter. Take a look.
Everybody look alive. Consultants are coming today.
What consultants?
The ones the governor hired to cut costs. I got like 4 emails about it.
Oh, I don't check those.
You don't check your emails?
Not my work ones.
How can they cut any more costs? I mean, this place is already falling apart.
If they take away the free coffee, I'm out of here. I'm lying. I'm not going anywhere.
I know.
Come on, we're examiners. Shouldn't be hanging with the paper pushers in the main pen this long.
Ah, paper pusher. Excuse me. You know what, Vic? I'm a photographer and a laminator.
And a laminator hair flip.
I love
that.
it.
And Tim Meadows joins us now. The show is so
Welcome.
exciting.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
Is there anything more universal than the shared disdain for the DMV? I mean, even for the people who work there, I think it's hard for them as well.
Yeah.
Why do you think this idea works so well?
Because I think it is a place that we all have to go through. You know what I mean? It's. I was having dinner with a friend of mine who's like very famous, and he was saying like he even had to go to the DMV. He had to make an appointment, And then he had to have security with him while he was there or whatever.
And who was that?
I'm not saying.
Do tell.
It was Donnie Wahlberg. So,
Yeah,
Donnie,
right.
sorry.
That's the point, right?
Yeah.
Which everybody, it's a universal thing that we all have to go to the DMV. We all
Right.
have to get our picture taken. And
Real ID.
Real ID. That I haven't even been able to get an appointment because just doing it online is a hassle. No, because I did it and then it came back and they rejected like my application, and so now I
Let's
have
talk
to
about that in
physically go there.
pluses and minuses.
It's so insane.
No,
so,
I'm sorry. I'll make a call. I'll get it all set up for you. Yeah.
So why did you want to do a sitcom at this point?
I love money, first of all. And I love working, and I have a son at NYU that I'd like to finish paying for his college.
Yeah.
No, I do. I really love working. That's the bottom line. When I saw the script, I thought the script was really, really funny. The opportunity to work with Dana Klein, who runs the show, was after I met her, I was like, I really want to work with her. You know, I think she's a great writer. So that was a part of it. And then just being able to, you know, I feel fortunate in this climate to have this opportunity to do this show. So, yeah.
Why is that in this climate?
Because there's not, you know, since, you know, inside baseball, but since the strike and there's not as many productions now, there's not as many sitcoms. I think we were the only sitcom that CBS produced this year, and that's rare, you know.
Yeah,
I don't
this
wanna
is original.
I don't want to get too deep into it.
But that's great.
But yeah, so I'm very grateful about the job that I have, because I mean, I could be a garbage man and run into Alec Baldwin.
No, you cannot be a garbage man and run over Alec Baldwin. But you have had this incredible career. I was telling Adriana how much of a fan I've been of yours since You started at SNL in 1990, 1991.
Mm-hmm.
Part of what I consider to be one of the greatest casts in history. You had the Farley era, the Sandler era, Hartman.
Some people call it the Meadows era. But
Some people, not Vlad.
no, it's the Farley Sandler era.
I meant all of you. It's an ensemble, don't you know? But then you also Ladies Man, the film, Mean Girls,
Man,
right?
yes.
Ladies Man, Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Like you've been
Mean Girls.
Yes, that's me.
That was you.
Research.
I like to live in the moment.
Good for you. I love that. Thank you.
Yes, and.
But you've been in the public eye for so long, and now also I was asking you about Peacemaker, which you're amazing in that.
Thank you.
Is it hard to go from comedy to sort of? I know you're playing sort of a comedic role in Peacemaker. This is sort of a because it's like a fake documentary.
Yeah. Right.
So you're not being ha-ha funny. What's that like for you?
Well, DMV is not like a fake documentary. It's not like The Office or those other kind of shows. So it's a more straightforward sitcom, which is great. Peacemaker was it was really a drama action type. Comedy's the third description in that, you know, for Peacemaker. And with Langston Fleury, I just tried to play it as a serious part. And so when I'm shouting curse words or really horrible nicknames for people, I played it as if I was, you know, Marlon Brando or somebody. Like, I'm serious about what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's very cool. You can catch DMV Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern right here on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
Still ahead, today's pluses and minuses. Find out what made the cut when we get back.
I knew that I would.
All right, let's wrap up this Wednesday with today's pluses and minuses. I will kick things off.
All right.
My plus, boredom is back, baby.
It never left.
I've been reading a lot of things. I mean, it's all about, my feed is pushing me all this stuff about how we should encourage our kids to be bored because they're so overscheduled, so overstimulated by screens and otherwise that they don't know how to just be.
Just to be.
And so I've been trying to implement this when we go on like a long car ride. I won't bring toys, well, mostly because I forget, but also because then I'm in the car, I'm like, you know what? It's better for them to just look out that window and imagine.
I think it's such an important thing. It was something that we have tried to do as well, because I am a person who is very, very comfortable being in an empty space by myself. I like to go to the movies alone, for example. I like to do things.
You?
Yeah, because
Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Most people who know me before this life know me as an introvert. Wow. Yeah, that I had no friends, and so it was forced on me back then. But I think it's a good thing to be. Boredom is back.
It is. It is. Okay, and it leads to creativity, apparently, according to some studies. Now, some other studies. There's one on clutter that I just wanted to share with you guys. This is my minus because clutter's the worst, but we all deal with it. At least I do.
I can't stand clutter.
So A common, there was a survey recently done that goes over common clutter crimes that partners get accused of. These are like people in relationships. But I mean, this is also just roommates. Top of the list, outdated tech. Get those cables out of here. Worn out underwear or clothing. Oh my goodness. Unused hobby gear, ugly or mismatched furniture, nerdy collectibles, and so on. It's just, these are like the top offenders in the clutter.
I am 100% subscriber to get rid of stuff. My wife, Marion, she never does. She's always like, it piles up. She goes, I'm going to sell it on Buy Nothing or put it on Buy Nothing. And I'm like, just toss it. Like, because I can't stand clutter. I'm kind of a
Because she doesn't want to contribute to all the waste that already exists. She wants to find another life
that's
for it.
corporate America, not my problem. I'm only kidding. The internet's going to hate me.
All right, guys, thanks for being with us. We'll be back tomorrow. Bye.